Business Connections Live, the UK's leading online business channel. This is Business Connections Live with Steve Hyland.
Hello and welcome to Business Connections Live, the program for entrepreneurs, SMEs and also business owners. Now on today's show we're going to be discovering the dark art of remarketing. Joining me in the studio today, an old friend of the program actually, is Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer. Steve, lovely to have you back with us today.
It's great to be here, Steve, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, we're going to be talking about something that a lot of companies will probably see. What we're talking about, I suppose, is those times when you go onto somebody's website, you click on it, and then they start to follow you around the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people say it's the process of stalking people. I've heard it called, but it's a fantastic marketing opportunity, and not one in, 50 businesses either know about it or use it right now, although they've probably been a victim of it.
There are so many different ways that you can now promote and market and advertise yourself.
Sure.
For instance, YouTube, you can have pre-roll, post-roll, mid-roll advertising going on there. A lot of people are using that, but not as many as they thought would be using it. Then we've got Facebook, who are now doing similar things, but complete retargeting.
Indeed, yeah.
But retargeting is right across the board, isn't it?
It is really, yeah. And, you know, if you take your website or my website, and let's say over a period of time we get 100 people to that website. On average, the average conversion rate of a website is 1%. And so what that means is out of every 100 people that visit a website, only one person's going to inquire. What's happening to the other 99%? They're going onto a website, they're having a little nosy round, having a look round, disappearing off, never to be found again. Now, remarketing is a way of marketing to those people who are already interested in you. They've had a look at your website, and therefore they must at some level be a prospect for you. The trouble is, we don't know who they are. But through remarketing, you can advertise to those people on pretty much an ongoing basis.
Now, people must come to you and they must talk about all forms of web advertising.
Sure.
And they probably say to you, you know, it doesn't work, I've tried it, doesn't work for me. Is this going to be another example of that? Or is it, and the reason it doesn't work sometimes, is it because we as marketeers get the message wrong?
I think you're right. You know, often people come to me as a marketing advisor. They say to me, well, we've tried this, we've tried email, we've tried LinkedIn, we've used Facebook, and, you know, it's not really, it doesn't work in our industry. I've heard that so many times. People say, well, this doesn't work in our industry. And the truth is, I believe that it's not the marketing, it's not that they're doing the wrong marketing, it's they're doing the right marketing wrong. If you understand
right,
what
yes.
I mean, yeah? Yeah, so all these things work, but as we all know, marketing doesn't always work. And so it's a matter of testing different things, trying different things, and finding out what works and what doesn't. And often not giving up too easy. You know, people go and they say, well, you know, I've done email marketing, you know, we sent out 3 emails, 1 no business, it's a waste of time. And that as we all know, is
Well,
never going to work.
We're really talking about that on last week's programme, where
Right.
you've got to touch people 8 to 12 times, hopefully, before
absolutely.
they start responding to you. And that's what's important about this particular type of marketing. Just in case you are confused about this at the moment, what happens here with this remarketing is you will go to somebody's website, and what effectively happens at that point is, because you're on their website, a cookie is placed in your search engine. That's what happens. So maybe you're using Chrome as your browser. The browser sees that cookie, a little piece of code, and it says you have visited that website. Then when you go to other websites that are geared up for remarketing, an ad will now appear for the site that you've just visited. So it's very, very specific targeted marketing to you as an individual, and it can be, as you said, very powerful.
Yeah, very. Yeah, it's actually done through many mediums, as you mentioned, Steve. Obviously, one of the big ones is Google. So Google have got 2.5 million partner sites that we can decide to advertise on, so that when somebody comes to my website, they go off browsing the internet as they do, and all of a sudden they start seeing Steve and his website everywhere. And some of the feedback I get, they keep saying, wow, Steve, you must be doing so well. You're advertising everywhere. You know, everywhere I go, I see you advertising. Well, the truth is, it's not that I'm advertising everywhere. It's that I'm advertising everywhere people who've been to my website go. Yeah, so it's very, very clever, I believe.
Right down to the nitty-gritty before we get into the process of actually doing this, is it going to cost me an absolute fortune? You've just said there that people come up to you and say, you must be doing very well, Steve, I see you everywhere. For that kind of facility, it must be very expensive.
Well, the truth is, Steve, no, it's not. And the reason being is that it sort of doesn't work very well. Let me just explain what I mean.
And that's the end of the show. Thank you very much for watching. Yes.
Well, the conversion rate of this type of advertising, when I say conversion rate, I mean the people who click, is about 0.5%. So if I get 100 people to my website, 0.5, another half a person is going to actually click on the link. Now, the great news about that is that would only cost me maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40p. But I'm able to advertise to all those other, 99.5 people again and again and again.
So you're touching them all the time.
So I'm touching them all the time. They see me, and this is great. I mean, I'm a massive believer in creating leads. That's the ultimate purpose for marketing. But also, it's a fantastic tool for creating that brand awareness, keeping people aware of what I'm doing, and keeping people, keeping my site in view of other people. And as you said a few minutes ago, the idea is that within marketing it takes 8 contacts to make a sale. So why not remarket 8 times? Because you can set the number of times somebody sees your advert.
Do you think it's suitable for all aspects of business? Is every business from the flower shop upwards? Can you regionalise it down to a local area? Can you do all those kind of things with it?
Yeah, you can set it up so that it's if somebody goes to my website from Australia and I don't do business in Australia, then I don't want to be paying for clicks. So I could set it up to be purely UK based, or within a 30-mile radius of my business, or whatever I wanted to. So yeah.
And is it? I feel like we're doing everything in the first 10 minutes, but I mean, is it one of these things where you could end up quite unwittingly spending a fortune?
It really comes down to how many people are visiting your website and how many of those convert into clicks. So that's the truth. Unwittingly, no, because just like with pay-per-click advertising, you can set yourself a daily limit. So it wouldn't be that all of a sudden, you get 10,000 people visiting your website, 10,000 clicks at £1 each. That's not going to happen, because you say to Google, right, my daily budget is £40 or £10, whatever you would like, and that limits that, so it prevents that sort of shock of doing really well and it costing you a lot of money.
Now, we're going to be looking at how to advertise to people that you're already interested in, how to advertise to your own personal list. That sounds a fascinating thing that you can do.
Oh, fantastic.
How to display advertising to 50,000 highly targeted people for a few pounds. You're just teasing me now, aren't you? I mean, because this actually is going to be working better than, should we say, for a small business than a local ad in their local paper.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it comes down to the fact that these are people who have been to your website. Now, you could say, well, some of them are maybe competitors checking you out. Some of them are people who've come to your website by mistake. They were actually looking for something different. But the vast majority would be people who are interested at some level in you. or your products or services. So yeah, I think that's really the case.
In 15, 20 seconds, what's the biggest mistake that people make when they enter into doing this?
I'd say the biggest mistake is probably not entering into doing it. I cannot see why any business wouldn't do it. I say the biggest mistake would probably be being too general, because Google again gives you the opportunity of marketing a specific page to people who have been to that page.
So is it worth having a number of campaigns, do you
Indeed,
think? So for
yes.
instance, if you've got product A, B and C, do just product A or product B, or do different campaigns for A and B?
Yeah, well, you know, I've spent quite a bit of time working on LinkedIn, and I've spoken on the show about how to use LinkedIn. So if I'm running a LinkedIn workshop, I could advertise purely to the people who visited my LinkedIn page and telling them about the workshop. So if you go on to the home page and then disappear off, you don't get to see my ad. But if you've been to my LinkedIn page, so in other words, you're a prime target, you know, someone who's interested in LinkedIn, then I can advertise using my LinkedIn advert and not just my general advert through remarketing.
It's going to be a fascinating and a powerful tool. That's what we're going to be talking about for the rest of the programme today. If you've seen it, you probably have. You've probably already been a victim, I use in inverted commas, of retargeting. But it's one of the most up-and-coming ways to get your message out there and to drive audience to a particular area, a particular product, particular service on your website. It really is something that you should be considering, and we're going to take you through some of the processes of that today on this edition of Business Connections Live. I think it's going to be a real education on this. A lot of people steer away sometimes from pay-per-click, or if they're looking for a quick response very quickly, they will go down that route. Maybe this is something you should be bolting onto the outside of your campaign. It's all to come on this edition of today's programme. My guest on today's show is Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer who's been on the show before. He mentioned just a moment or so ago about that he's an expert. He's our expert in LinkedIn. Your program actually I think is the most popular program on Business Connections Live. It's got the highest ratings of all times. Now, I know we did a year or so ago, but it still holds true by a lot of the things you said about how to use LinkedIn. If you're in business and you're looking to maybe generate new sales leads, it's a great prospecting tool, and you've really got to get out there and you've really got to use it. If you want to get more advice on how to use LinkedIn, then go to our website at businessconnectionslive.com and just put in Steve Mills in the search at the top of the page, and you'll find the program all about LinkedIn. It is a real hour's worth of an insight into what LinkedIn can achieve for you. It's a fantastic, fantastic program. You're watching Business Connections Live. Always great to have your company. Last week's show was a real fascinating one. We mentioned a moment ago there that you've got to keep touching your customers. How do you get new clients to come in? And when I say touch, I mean when you're marketing to them. You've got to talk to them 8 to 12 times before they respond to you. And then when they do respond to you, you've actually got to have something worthwhile for them to actually get there. But a lot of businesses, what they will do is they will just contact a client maybe once or twice, and then if they say no, or they get a no or a not now, they'll never contact them again. We are all guilty of that. You're not, though, are you?
Well, from time to time, I think, but I try not to. I really do, Steve. And I totally and utterly endorse what you're saying. You're so right. It is probably, you know, it's in my top 3 biggest mistakes that I see. You know, they get an inquiry, or they just don't keep in touch with people. And people, you know, say to me, I send out emails, as you know, and I send out probably up to about 2, sometimes 3 per week, and people, you know, often talk to me about that and say, you know, well, you know, you know, aren't you doing too much? Well, no. Because I've got a massive database of people who know me, like me, and trust me. And my belief about marketing and about business is you've got to do 3 things. You've got to get people to know you, like you, trust you, know you, like you, trust your product or service, and know, you like, you trust your company. And if you can do those three, who are you going to buy from? You're going to Google it, or you're going to go to that company, that product and that person that you really know, you really like and you really trust.
Well, that's what we were talking about last week. I've got a large list, actually, of people that know me and hate me. And last week's show, we talked to Dennis Guy, and she's an international sales and marketing leader. She's a coach and speaker about implementing easy and practical strategies that can be used to attract more clients quicker, easier than you've ever done before. Great show. She was a lovely lady. Have a look at what happened on last week's edition of Business Connections Live. Today's show, we're going to be discussing the easy ways to implement practical strategies that could be used to attract more clients quicker and easier than ever before. Sounds really appealing, doesn't it? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Joining me in the studio today is Dennis Guy. She's an international sales and marketing leader, coach and speaker.
What I do for businesses is slightly different in that I look at the whole process. And what I mean by that is, it's no good being brilliant at attracting clients, in other words, the prospecting and marketing, if you can't convert them into a client. What I see with even some of the good salespeople is that they will, as I refer to it, pay too soon. In other words, they will product dump too soon. So even in the marketing, they talk about the product, service, features and benefits, or the company, and as soon as they get face to face with someone, the moment they see an opportunity to start and sell, they're into selling mode. People will start with the best intentions, so they will put a plan together, but often it's not written. So they have it in their head, and then they deviate from it, and they never ever go back and revisit that plan. The peaks and troughs of cash flow that a lot of businesses experience is crippling, not just in terms of the running of the business, but for them personally, and the stress levels and the anguish of worrying about, you know, where am I going to get the money from to pay the payroll. Business owners and salespeople that are selling to other businesses give up too soon. And what I mean by that is that they will make one phone call, or they'll send one email, or they'll send a letter, or they'll make one contact on social media, and they get a no, and they move on to the next prospective client. And then have your different marketing streams, if you like, in terms of email, letter, telephone call, link, you know, make connections on social media, and continue with that. And at the same time, make sure that your messages are focused on the client. How can I help my customer achieve their objectives? Avoid pain. How can my company help support in that? How can I become the trusted advisor with my potential client, or your existing clients for that matter? It's all tactics, no strategy. When I'm putting forward my solution in terms of what I can do for the company, it's a fraction of what it's costing them by sticking with the status quo. Dennis Guy, have worked in sales and marketing for my whole life really, worked with big international corporates, but I'm now bringing my skills to the SME market, businesses who don't have sales and marketing departments or training departments to help with the sales effort. And your key takeaways really are: understand what you want to achieve, in other words, your goals and your plans, and have those written down and use them as a working document. This isn't about just writing it and leaving it. Work it and implement it. Understand your ideal client and make sure that you are then, because your marketing messages are resonating, you end up having a diary full of appointments with people that you want to work with. That will then lead with good, strong, strategic sales conversations where you're listening to the client and not doing all of the talking, where you're taking them from that position of interest to a position where they want to buy from you. And there are processes to learn, simple processes that you can then put in place and have that strategy to be able to make sure that you keep your clients and also that you get referral business from them. And I think, as Steve mentioned earlier, it's really important to have a tracking and monitoring system in place so that you know which of your marketing activities are working and which ones aren't. And you know, if you put these things into place, you will live a life that's stress-free, a life of abundance, and so on. You won't ever have to worry about where your next client's coming from.
Hello there, you're watching Business Connections Live, a really fascinating show. If you get an opportunity to go on there and have a look, then please do. Dilys Guy, an international speaker, marketing leader, coach, and a whole host of other things. It was a great show. She's a fantastic woman, and I think you'll really enjoy watching the show. I'll tell you something that happened to me this week, actually, when it talks about contacting and talking to customers. There is a company that we're aware of, and they went through this, I don't know whether you've seen this, but they went through an entire operation of a big tease. It was a big launch, and we were talking a moment or so ago about the fact that don't disappoint. When you promise something, when you say you're going to deliver something, have something worth delivering.
Sure, yeah.
And what they were able to do, they were able to send out emails, teasers, everything like that, leading up to the culmination of a launch of a product. Mm-hmm. It was the most disappointing launch I've ever seen. It was amateurish, it didn't look particularly good on screen, and it actually, in my mind's eye, it took away the credibility of the business. Is that something you think businesses need to be careful of?
I think it absolutely is. You know, there are so many different areas of a business, you know, from their website, their LinkedIn, their remarketing campaign, their email marketing, and if you sort of, I don't know, looked on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this email or this website's the worst website in the world, the other at the top end being this is perfect, this is really, you know, these guys have really nailed it. You know, I think, you know, listeners need to think about where at the moment, on a scale of 1 to 10, is each element of their sales and marketing, you know?
I think
you can do remarketing really badly, have a really bad advert that leads to a really bad page that doesn't convert.
Well, let's talk more about that in just a moment, because we'll get into all of that in just a second. You're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company as always. My guest on today's show is Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer, and we are talking about the dark art of remarketing. If you're wondering what a remarketing ad actually looks like, and perhaps this one probably isn't the best example, but if we just have a look at my laptop that's sitting here, and you'll see over here we've got a Prime Music ad. That actually is the place for a remarketing ad. So your ad could end up, I know we're actually on the Amazon site at the moment, but your ad could end up there. And so you could be sitting on a site just like maybe Amazon or eBay or YouTube or whatever, and you would find that your ad would pop up there. Now, I've been to Steve's site, and the thing is that when you go to the site, you don't actually notice that you are going to be remarketed to. The thing that is, I suppose, a bit of a giveaway is down here in the bottom right-hand corner, cookie control. This site uses cookies, and it's cookies are small bits of code that are written that your browser recognizes, and then when you go to another site, it's that's kind of driving the advertising, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. That's exactly how it works, Steve, yeah.
All right, let's go down our list of questions and the kind of things that people are going to be interested in.
Okay.
So then, how do you then advertise to people who are going to be? Is it just purely they go to your site, or are there other ways? How do you advertise to people that are interested in you?
Well, there are people who go to your website, definitely. But also, as you mentioned earlier, there is a way of uploading your email list and advertising just to your email list. So, for example, I could take my list of customers and present an advert on Facebook or on one of the Google partner sites that is just advertising to my clients, my current customers or past customers, or even people who attended a specific workshop. So, you know, we can get really, really targeted advertising here, or maybe my prospect list or my LinkedIn contacts. If I can export my list from LinkedIn into a database, upload it into Facebook and advertise on Facebook to that list.
So that makes it really, really powerful if you're prospecting, doesn't it? Because we all collect names and emails, don't we? For instance, through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
To download that that list and then to just market to them.
Yeah.
How powerful
There's
is
never
that?
been an opportunity like, I've been doing this over 20 years now, and there's never been an opportunity like this. And in a way, the best thing about it is if it doesn't work, nobody's going to click, and it's going to cost you nothing, and you're going to create loads of awareness. You're going to be advertising to all your LinkedIn contacts on an ongoing basis for little or no cost.
Now, does that mean that they must be on that browser as themselves, logged into their Chrome browser? I mean, how does it, you put the email address up there.
Yeah.
How does it join the two up?
Okay, so it's advertising purely to people on your list. However, there is a slight problem, particularly with Facebook, because if you've got your, Steve@Business email, and yet your personal Facebook is steve@hotmail.com, then the two aren't going to marry up. So I would say the downside of it is that some of your database won't be advertised to through the email marketing side of it, but the website side of it will always work.
And when we're looking at Facebook, of course, we have our personal pages, which are attached to us, and under the regulations that Facebook give out there, you have one account, and that one account can also have your business page associated with it.
Indeed.
Is the connection there from your email address, or is it from the business page's email address?
Well, it could be presented either way, but typically when I log on to Facebook, I've got a series of adverts and comments and things down the right hand side. That's the bit that we're talking about here. Advertising in the right hand side on Facebook.
Well, I'll just go to our Facebook page.
Okay.
Don't look at this yet because I don't know what's going to come up. That's always a worry when you're doing a live program.
Yes,
I would
indeed.
imagine. But obviously, just a quick look, and we'll just see
So
what
if you
comes
go to
up.
the home page,
as far as this is our business page. Now
Okay.
just go down there, just seeing what's down the side at the moment. Not a lot at the moment, but we'll come back to that as the program goes on.
Okay.
Okay then. So we can now advertise to our own personal list.
yeah.
What about when it comes to targeting people that we don't know? Can you target by work interest, location, demographic, things like that?
Well, you can on Facebook and LinkedIn, and in fact all the social media, not through remarketing, through retargeting, but through the pay-per-click advertising. So yeah, I mean, Facebook's fantastic. You can target, people so specifically, and yeah, you can definitely do that. LinkedIn, to be honest, is not as good because it doesn't have the amount of information about us that something like Facebook has. For example, I have the challenge in life of being a Sheffield Wednesday supporter. So right now I'm getting adverts for Sheffield Wednesday season tickets. I assume you're not, Steve, so you're not going to get those.
Have they got a football team, have they?
They have indeed, yeah. Yes.
So, but once again, it is down to this. Now, what about the construction of the actual ad itself? You said earlier on that people will go to a particular page on your website.
Yes.
They may visit one of your courses, and I said really it's all about what you deliver at the end of this. So it's all very well leading a horse to water, but when it does come to making them drink, what is it you're making them drink? Do people sometimes think that it's a buckshot effect? I will advertise everything in one go.
Okay, yeah, good question.
How do you construct your campaigns?
So how you construct a campaign is that there's two ways of doing it. You either do it yourself or you get somebody in who knows what they're doing, clearly. There are certain things that probably, unless you've got a reasonable level of web-based expertise, you may want to get your web developer to do. For example, when you're setting your advertising up, Google gives you some code, and you need to take that code and upload it into the back end of your website. Now, that can be done by mere mortals like you and I, but it might be that for some listeners it's easy just to go and give that to their web developer and say, put that code on each page of my website. As far as actually designing the advert, Google's got a tool within it that allows you to do things like upload logos and upload design and things like that. And once it's done that, then it very cleverly changes the advert for the size of the actual banner. So if, for example, you've got you're advertising on Amazon and there's a banner across the top of the website, it'll make that banner long and thin. If it's one going down the side, it'll make it tall and slim. So it sort of does that automatically for you, and that again is a great service because it sort of designs it for
I was
you
just looking at the source of your web page there. I was just trying to find the little bit of code that goes onto the page.
Okay.
That is actually the retargeting code.
Okay.
And you can do that. Obviously, if you go onto somebody's website, you can see what the code is on the page. But that code is relatively easy to implement into the page, isn't it?
It is. You just need to know what you're doing. It's cut and paste. That's all it is. But if dependent on the level of web knowledge, depends on whether I'd advise just go and pay somebody to do this for you, or whether you do it for yourself, or go and get training in how to do this.
We were talking before we came on air today that one of the issues is that, like pay-per-click, it can actually be quite complicated, the process that you go through. And I think a lot of people will inevitably waste money with pay-per-click because they don't set it up properly because they don't understand what they're doing.
Yeah.
Do we have the same problems when it comes to retargeting?
It's not as complicated as pay-per-click advertising, but there are sort of two levels to it, Steve. One is I can say to Google, right, I want to put an advert out there, retargeting campaign, and all I want you to do, Google, is when anybody comes to my website, I want you to display that on all your partner sites. So I'm talking typically sites like eBay and Amazon and the Times newspaper and the Daily Telegraph and so on and so forth. Or to sort of take it up a level, I can say just people who go to that particular page. That I want people who visit a particular product page to see this advert, people who visit a different product page to see advert, let's say advert B. So I may have several, depending on how complex I want this to be. It could be a general, visit my website, you get to see my ad, or it could be that I've got 10 different campaigns, all for different products or services that I'm driving traffic and advertising to for the people who visit my website. I'm driving traffic back to the website. I'm remarketing to the people who've already visited that page.
How do you go about managing it? If you're running 10 campaigns, I know that you're a big Infusionsoft king, other CRMs are available,
indeed.
But I know you, and there are a lot of people out there that really, when they get Infusionsoft, they really understand it.
Yeah.
Do you need something like that to manage your campaigns?
You don't need it, no, but I cannot see a reason why any business wouldn't have a CRM system. In today's day, you've got to have something, in my opinion. Infusionsoft, as you mentioned, is a very good system. So let me tell you how I use and combine my remarketing.
Well, I'll tell you what, hold the thought,
okay?
Because I think that's a really good topic. How do you combine your remarketing with your customer relationship manager? We've already talked about that you're going to need maybe a number of different campaigns to get across all the different products or services that you have. Do you run them all at the same time? Do you run them at different times? They're just a few of the questions that I'm going to be asking Steve in just a few moments' time. Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer, is with us on this edition of Business Connections Live. More to come on remarketing in just a moment. very interesting, really finding it fascinating. I think a lot of people do get scared when we start talking about HTML code, don't we?
Sure.
And I mean, I had a little bit
over, Steve.
It glazes over. I had a little bit of your code up there, and unfortunately, it came up on screen. But that's neither here nor there right now. But the thing is that it's a simple piece of HTML code that you embed into the appropriate page or pages on your website, and all of a sudden you're going to be remarketing. We'll ask the question as well in just a moment, how quickly it takes to actually get the whole thing up and running as well, if that's going to be all right with you. You're watching Business Connections Live here. We are absolutely live, as you can tell, every Monday, and it's great to have you accompanied. Over 200 plus hours of free business advice for you. If you're in a small business, if you're a medium to large scale business for that matter, at the end of the day, we are dealing with people. People are talking to people. Some people are selling. It's interesting, I was on a phone call the other week to somebody, and the phone call started, and you could just tell that they didn't really understand why we were talking. It had been a recommendation. They didn't really understand why we were talking to each other, what the benefit was going to be to them, and why we should be having any discussion at all. And because people can talk to people, and because you can engage people, because you can identify maybe an issue they're having, we actually ended up with a 3/4 of an hour meeting on the telephone that's going to lead to a face-to-face meeting. And the reason for that, I think, was we weren't just talking about what we do. We were talking about how we can help them and what we can do for them. It was a very, very different call. We've often heard it said on this program, we were finding their pain and we were coming up with a solution to that. And surely that's what we should all be doing. But we've got to be talking the customer's language surely as well, for that matter, and making certain that we understand what they want. We had Jim McLaughlin on the programme a little while back. He's a great guy. See if you can spot him smiling. He was on the show a few months back on an edition of Business Connections Live.
Hi, I'm Jim McLaughlin from Axial. We're a business development company. What we've spoken about today is really around the importance of getting the right information to the right people. That's why content is king. It's increasingly important to be able to create content that will give people a reason to believe that they'll get value from the contact that you make with them and from the dialogue that you want to engage them in. If they don't see that there's going to be value, they're not likely to want to engage in that dialogue. Because content is really important, it's also important that you have subject matter experts within your organisation so that they can continue the good work that you've done with the content that you've created and continue to build on your image as a trusted partner and a provider of valuable information. If you've got a CRM system, the most important thing about making a CRM system work for you is to make sure that you have the right processes in place and the right incentives for people within your organisation to use that CRM system properly, and penalties for people that don't, because if you don't have the right information in your CRM system, you can't get the right results from it. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, honesty always pays in every business relationship. Don't oversell your product, your service, or yourself. Be absolutely honest about what it is that you can deliver, and then make sure that you can deliver that and perhaps a little bit more. That's the way to build trust.
It's all about building trust. That's what Jim McLaughlin says. That was a good show too. Once again, go to the website, businessconnectionslive.com. By the way, if you're finding today's show entertaining and you're enjoying it, but you're thinking to yourself, I'd love to have a show just like that for my business. Well, why don't you get in contact with us here at Business Connections Live? This lovely studio could be customized to your particular business, your brand, and we could be promoting your service or your product. We can actually do sales videos here as well. If you'd like more details on what we could do for your business, see, I'm feeling your pain already. Oh, and it hurts. You need that resolved. Get in touch with us here in studio at businessconnectionslive.com. Or if you wish, you can always give us a call. Talk to myself, Steve Highland, or to Linda Bazan. We'd love to talk to you. The telephone number is 01784 256 777. If you'd like to follow our stream of consciousness, then you can do that as well, simply by following us on Twitter at BCL Business TV. And something that we're getting great results out of at the moment. We're also on Facebook. You can go to our business page at Facebook/Business Connections Live. There's the information there. But you can also watch us live every week on our Facebook when we go to Facebook Live, and we use that. And the engagement from that has been absolutely phenomenal. Are you using Facebook Live yet?
Yes, yeah, indeed.
What kind of reaction have you had?
Yeah, it's very similar. I think it's fantastic. I think, the world again is changing, isn't it? 6 months ago, a year ago, on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth, we weren't seeing the amount of video that we're seeing now. I've been predicting, for quite some time that sooner or later video is going to take over the web. And the use of web on websites is going to change. We're almost, I think, going to have websites that are TV programs, really. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here, Steve. I'm really not. It is a fact. You only need to look at what's actually happening in the world. More videos around. YouTube's exploding. We've got Facebook Live, and that's the way it's going to go.
And I must agree with that, actually. I think over a period of time that what we're going to see is that we are going to see a bit of a change. I am looking a bit pasty today. I do apologise about that. And right, you're watching Business Connections Live. It's great to have your company with us today on the programme. We're talking about remarketing. Joining me in the studio, Steve Mills, the prudent marketeer. We just before the break, we were talking a little bit about using CRM systems and how to maximise the way, making it more effective and more efficient for you. Just talk us through the process that you use then when it comes to using remarketing and your CRM system, in this case, Customer Relationship Manager, in this case, Infusionsoft.
Okay, so a variety of people come to my website every day. I'm getting traffic there. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the programme, let's say 1% of them inquire. 99% of them disappear off, never to be seen again. However, because I'm using remarketing, I'm advertising to those people again and again. And I can set that up to advertise to them twice, 4 times, 8 times, or literally for the rest of their life. With what you said about the 8 contacts, that's roughly what I do. So I advertise to them 8 times on Amazon and all these other sites. The advert that I use for my general campaign is basically says, if you're looking to create more leads, download this free book. It's called The 10 Biggest Lead Generation Mistakes. That brings them back in. So I'm offering something free. I'm not trying to sell them anything with my advert. I'm offering them something free. They come back to my site, download the book by putting their details in. That gives me access to their name, telephone number and email address. That automatically gets added into Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft then sends them a message saying, thanks very much for your interest. Please confirm your details, so that I get people to what's known as double opt-in. So that gets me past spam filters and complies with email legislation and so on. The system then automatically, without me doing anything, sends them a copy of the book. It then tells me to follow up with them. So the following day, I make a phone call. Hi, Steve Mills here. You very kindly downloaded my book. Did it download?
Are you stalking me?
And so on. And and so it becomes like a campaign. It's part of a campaign. It's not on its own. It's part of an ongoing campaign to take people from the website to advertise, to download something for free, to have a conversation with me, and then I can market to those people my events and seminars and products and services until they unsubscribe.
I mean, this is just an extension to traditional internet marketing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's another great tool from the world of internet.
What about the words that you use? You've already said there that you're giving something for free. You are a wordsmith. Mm-hmm. It seems we've gone through the stages of having very highly convoluting, very cleverly designed
Yeah.
emails that go out there. A lot of
Yeah.
people now are going for plain text.
Plain text, yeah.
Emails. I mean,
Yeah.
and also the headline and the words they use.
Yeah.
What should we be considering when we're putting that together?
I think probably the number one thing is to think about it from you're sending an email to me. You know, forget this, the fact that it's going out to 10, 20,000 people. People respond to personal emails. So I'm a massive believer in keeping it personal. I really don't like the idea of the email newsletter. I still sort of do it, but that's not where I win business from email marketing. It's writing personal emails. Sometimes my emails are one sentence emails. One sentence.
Really?
Yeah.
Just straight to the point.
Yeah, straight to the point. I'll give you an example. I may send an email out to my current customers, and that email might even say something like, I found something that you'll be interested in, click here. Now, because they know me, like me, trust me, they know that I'm not going to send them to somewhere that's not of interest to them. And so they click on that. Now, I would never send that out to people that I don't know. I would have to tell them more about it, maybe some bullets and so on and so forth. But I try to keep it as simple as I can, because what I really want is the click-through. Because again, the CRM system tells me when you've clicked. I know how many times you've been to my website, what pages you've looked at, and so on and so forth. So I can then easily follow you up.
Let's go back to the design then of the ads that you do for retargeting.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking about doing a campaign, what do I have to design? What do I have to do? So it's all very well, I've booked it, I think I'm going to do it. Do I have to make a banner ad and a square ad? Do I have to go through the process of doing that? How do I go about doing that?
Yeah, you do. You need, you need to have a nicely designed banner. How are you going to do that? Well, you could get a designer to do it for you. You could also go on to the many websites these days like Fiverr.com.
Yep.
It was Elance, it's now changed.
Yes.
Upwork, is that?
Yeah,
is
that's
that
the other one,
Yeah,
yep. Upwork,
yeah. People per hour, websites like that where you can go and get people to do things like that for you.
Do you think, in your opinion, having had the experience of doing that, that a good ad, well constructed, well made, that looks striking, will actually get more click-through on it, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. But also, importantly, is the page that they land on.
And what do you think is fun? What do you mean by that?
Well, you're going to click on, you're on Amazon, you see an advert for me, you click on that. Where are we going to send them? The landing page. Yeah, that is absolutely vital, because you've only got a very small amount of space. You've got a little box like that to put your advert, but once they're there, they're on your page. It's all about conversion rate optimization. So how well does that page turn people from visitors into enquirers? So again, things like adding video. I can be far more persuasive because someone will see and feel the passion, that I've got, than I can write in that. So the headline, the video, the use of pictures, the call to action, maybe testimonials in there, and so on and so forth. And you've got to make sure that that web page converts as high as you can. Remember my scale of 1 to 10? Where is your current landing page? If it's a 5, then it's a 50% effective page. We've got to look, see how we can improve that.
It's interesting, isn't it? I was talking to somebody and they said, if you use the word "that'll do," then it won't do.
No.
And you've got to do something about that.
You've got to raise your game. If there was one tip I'd give to all the listeners today, just think about raise your game. You've got to look at each and every element of your marketing, whether it's remarketing or email or what you say when you go to a networking event and stand up and say, "Hi, my name is, and this is what we do." Each and every element of your marketing needs to be improved. It is not good enough, and I'd include mine in that too, because we can always become better, Steve, and I know you know that.
Yeah, but the trouble is, isn't it, that we can preach it, It's whether we follow it or not, isn't it? And that is, we can do the talk, but can we do the walk? Who is this suitable for then? What's nice business? Because we're kind of talking about service organisations and product organisations. We saw there on the Amazon side that Amazon are using them themselves to promote Prime Music on there.
Yeah.
So is it suitable for all sizes, or is it down to the kind of product or service that you're offering?
I think it's certainly suitable to all small businesses. You know, I'm not sure if I was Apple whether I'd need to use this, because particularly as they probably get, you know, hundreds of thousands of people to their website every day. They don't want to be paying people to go back, I don't think. But any business who's a small business, I cannot think of a business or an industry that this wouldn't be really worthwhile testing. The key word is always, for me, is testing. Try it out.
And what about a budget? Now, I know we talked outside, you may not want to share what your kind of budget is, but because it's thousands. But if you were going out there and you wanted to start doing this, and you just wanted a bit of a taste to get a bit of a feel to it, what kind of budget should you be expecting if you want to start your own retargeting campaign? You want to do it for a particular, shall we say, a single product. You've developed a page that you're going to drive them to, a landing page that's going to highlight what everything is.
Yeah.
You've gone to Fiverr and you've got yourself your ad developed and made. You've got the right words on there, so you're all set up. What kind of money would you invest in that?
I've always believed, Steve, in, as I just said, in testing. You know, never trust anybody, a marketing person that says, you know, do this and it'll work, it'll be fantastic. We don't know is the truth, and we can do this well or badly. So the first thing I'd say is to start off small. Now, it depends really on the size of your business. So what's small then? £8 a day.
Really?
Yeah, £8 a day you can do this. I think that's the minimum on excuse me, on Facebook, and certainly the minimum on Google. So for £8 a day, you can try it. Now, if you're if your business turns over 10 million a year, then you know that £8 might be £500, you know, so it really depends on the size of your business. But if you were a one-man business just starting out, you can give this a go for a few weeks, see if it creates any business. The second thing I would say, though, measure. You know, it's great to test, try different things, but make sure you want to know how many inquiries you get as a result of this. Okay, and that is just phenomenally important, because if not, like all marketing, you can just throw money at it, never know whether it's working or not, whether it's any good or not. You want to make sure that you're converting this traffic into business.
Sounds fascinating, doesn't it? So you've now got your ad, you put everything together, you've got your campaign sorted up, you've got your landing page sorted, and now with £8 for that first day, maybe £8, do that over a period of a month. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. It could be the best well-spent money that you've ever spent, perhaps, maybe on marketing your business. It is the dark art, though, of remarketing, what we're talking about here today on this edition of Business Connections Live. My guest on the programme here in the studio is Steve Mills. He is the Prudent Marketeer. We've got more from Steve and myself on this edition in just a few moments' time. It really is absolutely fascinating. The whole area of it is, and I think we'd all be foolish if we didn't actually go down the route, perhaps maybe, of investigating remarketing just a little bit more. You may have noticed just how fantastic Steve is, by the way, at his presentation skills, his techniques, the way he can actually get the message over. But say you were put in front of a camera, how would you handle that? What would be the way that you would handle it? Would you be lost for words? Would you try to speak an alien language? A lot of people do that when they're presented with a TV camera or a recording microphone in front of them. They start using words that they would never ever use in normal life, and all of a sudden it becomes gobbledygook. Or they get lost in examples. That's the other thing. You sometimes hear that. Well, if you take 3% of these people and 4%, 5%, and it all goes over the hill and far away. If you feel that you're really not getting your message over when it comes to using the media. If you have found yourself in a radio or TV studio and you felt that really that didn't go as well as it could do, what you probably need is the experience of a little bit of training. And you can join us here at Business Connections Live. We run training courses. We call them How to Handle the Media. Depending on who we are training, it can be anybody from your customer-facing teams all the way up to your executive teams, crisis management. You can come along to the studio and we will show you and put you through your paces. You will do a piece of camera, you'll do an interview in the studio, you'll get a 5-minute interview, you get the experience of that. We'll explain to you what's going on around you as well so that you are more comfortable about it. And then we'll put you into a radio studio and we'll do a live phone-in with you too. And if that wasn't bad enough, by now you're exhausted. We take you out by the side of the roadside and we do a by the side of the roadside live report back to the studio. All of that, single day, 6 people. Interested in coming on that? Like to find out more details about it? Well, I'll tell you what, before we tell you how to find out more details, let's hear from James Griffin. He took his team on our How to Handle the Media training course.
I'm James Griffin from Iris Software, and my team have just completed the How to Handle the Media workshop. It was a really great course, it was really fun, and it was a really unique way for them to polish their presentation skills and learn how to answer difficult questions under pressure. So I'd highly recommend this to anybody that values those skills and really wants a great day out with their team.
It is our one-day media workshop. It's how to handle the media, and it really is. You'll find it really, really, really useful and worthwhile. We did a course a couple of weeks ago now, and absolutely fascinating. Senior management all the way down the customer facing. It was a real mix on the day, and we had not only myself as a presenter, as the person teaching them, the class tutor, but we also had one of our good friends from the broadcasting industry. He was with us as well. It was a fascinating day. If you want to come on a course like that, simply get in touch with us. Here's how you can do that. You can contact us by email at studio@businessconnectionslive.com. You can talk to myself or Linda Basant on 01784 256 777, and you can also contact us with the DM on Twitter at BCL Business TV, or get in touch with us via our Facebook page at Facebook Business Connections Live. There you go. It's a simple and a straightforward set. It's called How to Handle the Media. We can also customize. It's a turnkey course, actually. So when you contact us, you go, here's what we're trying to achieve at the moment. Can you do that? Can you make the course suitable for us? Can you make it brand specific? Can you make it product specific? And of course, we go down the route and we make absolutely certain that you get out of the day exactly what you need. Great course. We look forward to hearing from you. So get on the phone, give us a call today, and we'll have a bit of a chat about it. You're watching Business Connections Live. My guest on today's show is Steve Mills. He is the prudent marketeer. We are talking about discovering the dark arts of remarketing. They are those little ads. You go onto somebody's website and then all of a sudden you find that they are following you all over the place. Those ads that you are seeing aren't everywhere. Not everybody is seeing that. What is happening is you are seeing that because you've been to their site. There's a little bit of code that's been put into your browser, and your browser then realizes and remembers you've been to their site and then calls up their ad. Just to remind you. Now imagine how powerful that could be for your business. It means that you are now in front of your customer's eye, you're in their mind's eye on a repeated offering. So it really is very powerful. Steve, we were talking about there are a number of different platforms to do this. Of course, Google is the big one that we all imagine because they are the leaders when it comes to pay-per-click.
Indeed.
But the other platforms are doing it too. So Facebook, you can do it with them too.
Yeah, Facebook. Yeah, you can do it with Facebook. They advertise just on Facebook, but that again is, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you say to Facebook, anybody who comes to my website is interested in me or my company or my product, and therefore when they go on to Facebook, I would like Facebook to present an advert to them.
So is it a very different process to actually booking it? Do you still go through all the same rigmarole as you went before, in as much as the ads you have to get designed, so maybe Fiverr, off to Fiverr to get those done?
It's slightly different because on Facebook, of course, you've just got one. You've got the advertising down the right-hand side. So on Google, you could have a bigger advert, a banner advert, a long, thin one, a small little box. Dependent on the Google partner, depends on what format that will need to be in. On Facebook, it's pretty straightforward. But just to clarify on Google, it makes no difference to you, so you don't have to say, right, if my advert's on Amazon, then have a little square one. It just selects the one appropriate,
the most appropriate one
for the advert. Yeah, indeed.
And looking at it from a reverse angle, say you have a website and you would like to have retargeted sites on your website so that your website is then earning revenue.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Is that a good way to go about it?
Well, there are pros and cons to it, but becoming a Google partner, anybody can become a Google partner. I can become a Google partner and allow Google to advertise on my website. And every time somebody clicked on that advert, I get paid. So I get paid for people who are clicking on the adverts on my website. The downside of it is that they're clicking on the advert. So in other words, they're leaving my page. So I personally don't like that. But
and the danger, of course, is, I suppose, if they've been to your competitor's website, now your competitor's ad is going to be
well, yes and no. You can tell, I, for example, could tell Google, I'm happy to do this, but I don't want any other marketing companies advertising on my website. So you can exclude certain industries. So if I sold golf clubs, I wouldn't want another golf club retailer selling their golf clubs on my website, clearly. So you can tell Google that, and it makes sure that that doesn't happen.
So the process seems to be fairly straightforward then. All you've got to do is just identify what you want to do with it, but don't go in with it with your eyes shut. Open your eyes wide and understand what you're trying to do. This is pure marketing. So if somebody's going to be coming to your website, you can identify the kind of customer you're after. You can identify their demographic nearly.
Yeah.
You can identify probably their age range as well, I would imagine, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And also you can stop other businesses cross-promoting and following you back to your website as well, for that matter.
Absolutely.
It really is.
And if anybody that's listening's feeling, oh, this is a bit overwhelming, this is a little bit too complicated, you can hire somebody to do this for you for probably, I don't know, £200 or £300 to set this up and implement it and manage it. And really, once it's set up, it doesn't actually need that much managing. It's just setting it up. So for a few £100, you could set this up.
And if we started today, how quickly could we be running? Say we've got our ads on our landing page. We can do that bit because we're all semi-professional web designers. But if we've got all that set up, how quickly could I be?
A few days, couple of days, 2-3 days. And again, you can say to Amazon, to Google, so that they're advertising on Amazon, I just want to advertise for a couple of weeks, or I only want to show the advert 14 times, and obviously you can change those numbers as you feel appropriate. I probably wouldn't want to be advertising to somebody who looked at my website 2.5 years ago and have not been back since. That would probably not be
that'd be a bad thing.
Well, I'm probably just being a little bit of a pain to that person because they're seeing me and my advert all over the place. They've not clicked on it. They're not interested, probably. And so my belief is your comment about the 8 touches, 8 times.
And then that's it. Call it a day of that. If they're not going to talk to you then, they're probably never going to talk to you.
Indeed.
I would imagine. Just a little bit of clarity as well on different platforms. It is a very confusing topic, the whole area. So let's just... We've got Google, obviously, so the principle, the primary platforms for doing retargeting ads is
basically Google and Facebook. They're the ones that you need to focus on, in my opinion.
And will your ads appear on the likes of LinkedIn and places like that?
No. LinkedIn doesn't do retargeting right now. Although, interestingly, with the takeover
from Microsoft,
what's going to happen? Microsoft just bought LinkedIn. LinkedIn, whilst I'm a massive fan of it, there are certain things that it's a little bit falling behind with. I believe, and I would hope that soon, and sooner rather than later, that LinkedIn would start offering this type of service. Why wouldn't they?
And just going off subject before we ask you to do your final piece down the camera, when it comes to getting out there and doing marketing, if you had to give a 30-second synopsis to somebody about the most effective marketing that they can do, what would be which would be the sites, which would be the process you would go through? A bit of free advice.
Okay, free advice. I'd start by saying there is never one way of doing this. Try to create what I call multiple streams of income. To kick off with, look at what you can do that's not going to cost money. I'm the prudent marketer. I'm a Yorkshireman. I don't like wasting money. There are so many opportunities right now to do things for free. If you ask me, what is the number one best way of marketing a business? I would say, even with all the technology and remarketing and all this stuff, I still say it's referral. But when I talk to business owners and I say, hands up, I might be in a room with 100 people, hands up, who wins most of their business from referral, from word of mouth? I'll probably get 95 hands. Yeah, it's fantastic. I then say to them, okay, so hands up, who's got a referral marketing system, a process to try and increase the amount of business that they win from referral? And I get about 3. Now there, I think, is a huge opportunity. If you're running a business and you've not got at least 3 or 4 or 5 referral marketing processes, systems within your business, then there's a little pot of gold sitting there waiting for you that if you did, you could start to harvest.
Little pot of gold just waiting for you there at the moment. Steve Mills is the prudent marketeer. Steve, we ask everybody when they're on the programme to actually give the key takeaways to today's programme. We've been talking about remarketing. If you could just give the key takeaways that we should remember. Take a breath, say who you are and where you're from. Straight down camera number 1, the airways, Steve, are all yours.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Okay, the key takeaways. I'd say number 1 is to make sure that you give this a try. I can't sit here and say this is definitely going to work for you, but what I will do is say that you can try this for next to nothing with a small conservative test. So, that would be number 1. Give this a go. The second key takeaway, and I'd like to say this is almost an endorsement for Business Connections Live, but I'm saying it because I'm a massive believer in the power of video. Video is, in my opinion, the way forward for your business and for your marketing. You must use it. There are so many big advantages in using video. You can use video in your remarketing campaign. You can use video now in YouTube. YouTube's got a, pay-per-click advertising, and you can use video. It's just a fantastic opportunity. And the other thing about that is 99% of your competitors are probably not yet still using it. So it's a great opportunity to be ahead of the curve. And then the third one, I'm going to go back to what I just said a few minutes ago. Think about referral. This is the most powerful form of marketing on the planet. And if you don't have a system for it, then, you're potentially losing money and you're not harvesting that pot of gold there.
There you go, you've got to harvest that pot of gold. It is waiting for you right there. If you have been thinking about remarketing, maybe today we've convinced you to actually go out there and to do something about it. And as Steve says, the process is very easy, but you must have that strategy in place. That's what's important. You've got to have that landing page. I think you've got to have, from what you've said today, I think you've got to have clarity of thought, haven't you?
Indeed.
You're not sending them, it's a bit like giving somebody directions. Mm-hmm. When somebody says, how do I get from how do I get to point B? You give them precise instructions on how to get there. And there's a lot of marketing out there that goes, you want to get to point B? I'll tell you how to get to point A, B, C, D, E, and F. This is too much choice. Give them that single choice, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't forget, there's some great tools out there as well. Fiverr is a great place to go to if you want to do a little bit of design for that matter, and get that landing page all sorted out as well on your website. Been a fascinating show today. My warm thanks to you, Mr. Mills.
Thank you very much.
As always, a really interesting show.
My pleasure.
And thank you very much for watching Business Connections Live. And I hope you've enjoyed today's show, because it's been a real insight. A little bit of housekeeping to do before we walk out the door. It's been an exciting show today.
I've enjoyed it, Steve. Thank you.
Have you sweated a bit?
Well, not too much. No,
that's okay. Because I just really get the sweats at the moment. Must be the menopause. Right then, let's let's see who we've got coming up in the future. Don't forget, if you'd like to sponsor the program over the coming weeks, sponsor the show. We'd love to hear from you. You can also join us on LinkedIn. Watch out for our pulses there as well. Oh, this is something that's quite interesting. Radio campaigns. A lot of people don't realise this, but we also do radio campaigns as well. Now, we've just done a major radio campaign for a large blue chip organisation. They needed something that would tie in. It's a recruitment campaign, and they needed something to tie in with increasing recruitment. But they wanted it to tie in with the football that's on at the moment. Your team aren't in the football at the moment, are they?
No.
None of their players either. No, not good enough. So what we've done is we've put together a competitive campaign that gets their message out there, and we've used a premier national radio station that is very sport orientated. And we put that campaign together for them. And it's an interesting, exciting way to grow awareness and also to get a response, because it's a clear, single message, what they want and what they want the people who hear the ad to actually do. Now, we could do that for you as well. Once again, if you want more details, contact the studio, businessconnectionslive.com, or give us a ring. There we go. Well done, studio Business Connections Live. That was a surprise. He didn't know it was coming, neither did I. Studio businessconnectionslive.com, or you can give us a call on this telephone number right now. And don't forget, do follow our stream of consciousness at BCL Business TV. Should we roll those credits and get the heck out of here? It's been an absolute pleasure today. Thank you very much. It was stressful earlier on, but we made it. We're back again next Monday, and we look forward to it. We'll be live at midday, but till then, have a great week. From Steve Mills and myself, Steve Harland, see you soon, and thank you very much for watching Business Connections Live. Bye for now. Bye-bye.